These are notes for section 9.4. Okay, section 9.4, page 530, 1 to 51 odd. And I think that's everything you can see. And the answers, 9.4 at the bottom there. And scroll over to the right a little bit. Yeah, okay. All right, so we're multiplying and dividing radicals this time. Okay, so multiplication, division of radicals. So number one, radical 6 times radical 3. You're allowed to multiply these two, square root of 18, and then break down 18 into 9 times 2. Square root of 9 comes outside, becomes a 3, 3 radical 2. Number 5, you multiply all the numbers that are outside the radical and multiply all the numbers inside the radical. So 4 times 2 times 3, 24. Square root of 6 times 15 times 10 is 900. Square root of 900 turns out to be 30. 24 times 30, 720. Okay, 7, same concept. Multiply the 3 times the 6 because they're both outside, 18. Multiply these two because they're both inside, cube root of 27. But the cube root of 27 is 3, so 18 times 3, 54. Number 9 is distributive property. Net radical 3 times that and times that. So these two, you're allowed to multiply them since they're both radicals. Radical 3 times radical 2 is radical 6. This times this. Radical 3 times another radical 3 is 3. 3 times that negative 3 is a minus 9. Okay, 15 is a variation of FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So first, square root of x times another square root of x is just x. Outer, minus 3 radical x. Inner, plus 5 radical x. Outer, minus 15. These two combine, so final answer, x plus 2 radical x minus 15. This one, FOIL, first, 3 times radical 6 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Outer, 3 times 2 is 6. Radical 6 times radical 2 is radical 12. Inner, 4 times radical 2 times radical 6 is also radical 12. And last, 4 times 2 is 8. Radical 2 times another radical 2 is 2. 8 times 2 is 16. So these two give me 34. These two give me 10 radical 12. Radical 12, you can break it down into 4 times 3. 4 comes outside and changes to a 2. So 34 plus 10 times 2, or 20, radical 3. 19 is the square of a binomial, so use a shortcut. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared is the way the formula works. So radical 3 squared is 3. 2ab, 2 times 4 is 8, times radical 3 is 8 radical 3. 4 squared is 16. And then 3 plus 16 is 19. So 19 plus 8 radical 3. This one's also the square of a binomial. Okay, so I square this, 4a, minus 2ab, 2 times 3 is 12. Radical a times radical b is radical ab, plus 9b. This one's a little harder, but it still fits the mode of a minus b quantity squared. So I square this, x minus 5, minus 2ab, 2 times 3, 6, times radical x minus 5, plus b squared, 3 squared is 9. And clean it up, negative 5 and a 9, 4, x is here, that stays the same. Okay, radical a plus 7, radical a minus 7, that's like x plus y, x minus y. A, subtract the square of this, 49. Pretty much the same game here. This is of the form a plus b, a minus b. So I square this, x minus 4, minus the square of this, 4. And x minus 4 is x minus 8. Okay, so you will recall that we have x plus y, x minus y is equal to x squared minus y squared. So to rationalize the denominator here, you multiply by something called the conjugate of the denominator. X plus y and x minus y are conjugates. So here in the denominator, you're adding or subtracting something. So the denominator is radical 6 minus radical 2. To clean that up, you would multiply by radical 6 plus radical 2. If this had been a plus, you would make this a minus. That way, the denominator is just a squared minus b squared, or in this case, x squared minus y squared. So radical 6 times radical 6 is 6. Radical 2 times itself is 2. So you have a nice denominator, 6 minus 2. The top, distribute. Radical 2 times radical 6 is radical 12. Radical 2 times radical 2 is 2. Okay, so the bottom is just 4. Change 12 to 4 times 3. 4 comes outside, change to a 2. 2 radical 3 plus 2 over 4. Factor out a 2 in the numerator. Radical 3 plus 1. Partially cancel the denominator. So final answer is radical 3 plus 1 over 2. Same concept for this one. Okay, the denominator has radical 5 plus 1. So you should multiply by radical 5 minus 1. So the numerator becomes 5. Square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just 5. Minus radical 5 divided by 5 minus 1. And 5 minus 1 is 4. So this is my final answer. Okay, 47. Radical x minus radical y. Clean it up with radical x plus radical y, top and bottom. So I have 3 radical x plus 3 radical y. The denominator is just this thing squared, x, minus this thing squared, y. So that's it. And 51, I want to clean up radical 7 plus 2, multiplied by radical 7 minus 2. Yes, coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, maybe the author made it that way. It turns out to be the same as the numerator. That's okay, it doesn't matter. So the bottom is this thing squared, 7, minus this thing squared, 4. So it's going to be nice, 3. This is really radical 7 minus 2 squared. You can do that, or I'll just FOIL. That times that is 7. That times that is minus 2 radical 7. That times that is minus 2 radical 7. That times that is 4. So let's see, 7 plus 4 is 11. These two combine to be minus 4 radical 7 all over 3. And there we go. Okay, so these are notes for section 9.4.